All right, we are recording. Welcome, everybody. We're going to be going live on Facebook. Um, let me give it a second to get that up and running. So happy that you are here tonight. Let's see. We are going to go live on the chiropractic Facebook page. So, I hope that this event isn't too late and won't keep you up, but hopefully, if it does, it is well worth it so that we can help you optimize your sleep on other nights. So it's preparing to go live. Let's see. So my name is Anna, and I am the practice representative at the Chiropractic Advantage, along with as a nutrition coordinator. My background is that I went to school right here in La Crosse, studied political science and nutrition and how government is connected with the policies and our health. So that actually goes really hand in hand today. So let me put the title for our event, Sleep Your Way to Bed Health. All right, and then what should we say? Join us as we sleep like a baby. Okay, we are going live. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let me jump right into the let me jump right into it. So if you are on Zoom or if you are on Facebook, there is a chat. So feel free to write in the chat any questions. I don't know that I'll be able to get to it right away, but I at least will be able to get to it afterwards and can answer any questions. So feel free to type in any questions or any comments that you might have, because I'd love to help you out. But now I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get right into the presentation. And I really hope this doesn't bore you. It actually, and I think overall what I'm learning and I've learned is that we don't talk enough about sleep, but we complain a lot about it. And we know that people, are feeling the overweight. They're feeling sleepless, so they're frustrated and they're in a bad mood. Instead of hangry, it's like zangry, like I need Z's. And those that don't sleep usually have a lot of those common traits. And actually, when I teach my my TLS transition lifestyle class, we talk about sleep, and it's like if you're not sleeping good, it's going to go directly against your goals for losing weight. So while we know that heart disease is the number one killer of both men and women, poor sleep is their number one complaint. Yes, cardiologists actually are studying more and more the effects of sleep. So heart disease is such a lifestyle, and if we don't look at sleep, we are missing the mark. What is sleep? Well, first of all, it's necessary for survival. People who get sleep deprived not only get loopy, but they have impairments. It's necessary for proper nervous systems to function. It promotes brain health. It reduces breakdown of proteins in cells. So basically, we want our body to have integrity within the cells and the proteins, the lipid layers and everything. But when we're not sleeping, it's not allowing for proper functions for systems to help repair. Instead, it'll be more likely to break down. That's aging. We don't want that. Deep sleep coincides with the release of growth hormones. Growth hormones are the fountain of youth, and so we want that. It's from a National Sleep Foundation. So this is interesting. Human beings are the only species that deprive themselves of sleep for no gain. The sleep when I'm dead and the pride ourselves on no sleep, that does very little for our health long term. So we want to offset that. Why sleep? Why do we talk about it? I mean, I guess as a show of hands, or can you relate? Are you where you're at in your sleep? On a scale of 1 to 10, how great's your sleep? And that's what I want to know. Or does this maybe describe you a little more? 1 out of 2 Americans are trying to survive on 6 hours of sleep or less during the week. Based on evidence from over 100,000 studies, the number of people that can survive on 5 hours of sleep or less without showing any impairment is 0. No people do great on 5 hours or less of sleep. 6 million report insomnia. There's all different types of insomnia, narcolepsy, they're all different. We're not going to go into kind of the disease states of that, but just know that, interrupted sleep for any reason, it can be linked to that. So sleep, it's the most human bodily functions and behaviors are not steady state. Instead, they fluctuate in 24 hours, right? So it's not a consistent thing. Like cortisol is supposed to spike in the morning and go down at night, and then melatonin comes. That it's a cycle of things. It's not like all this, right? Especially if women, nothing is straight lined, flatlined. So we basically we have 24-hour cycles that kind of do that. And then we even have monthly cycles, as we know that. But we're going to talk about the 24-hour sleep cycle, because every 24 hours we are sleeping in that period. So these rhythms temper a wide range of physiological processes, including the body's production of hormones. So what hormones? I mean, we're talking about melatonin, serotonin, dopamine. We're talking about ghrelin and leptin. Those are your hunger and I'm satisfied hormones. That insulin. All of these are regulated through processes, and sleep is directly linked to those. So all of these influences then therefore impact body weight, physical and mental performance, and susceptibility to illness. So that's what I would ask you right now. Do you have any lifestyle changes that you would like to make? And then say, how is my sleep either hurting this or helping this? And we have to realize the problem is multifactorial. There's no easy pill, and it is far reaching. But we know that even a few days of impaired sleep, particularly loss of slow wave sleep, and I'll show you what that is, has shown to derange metabolism. So these are different. Everybody's a little different. So I included some different visuals in here. There's basically 4 or 5 stages of sleep if you're really kind of getting picky. And they have different wavelengths that are achieve different goals. So stage 1, the body is starting to fall asleep. Now this is you're easily awoken, and this is in between the 1 or 2, the body, when you can have that sense of falling and you kind of catch yourself and wake up. That's that. As you enter more into stage 2, the body enters light sleep and body temperatures begin to drop. It's a good thing. We want that. Stage 3 and 4, the body enters into the deepest and most restorative sleep. But these stages are non-REM, non-rapid eye movement, okay? But stage 3 and 4 and 5 are the most important. So you need to go 1 to 2 to get there, but if you don't hit 3 and 4, you're not having that restorative sleep. So when we talk about low wave sleep, that's stage 4. You see the low waves, that is your brain activity that's needed to enter stage 5, is that rapid eye movement, that quick. What's so cool about this stage is if you see somebody, basically their body is almost paralyzed. If you get woken and you're like, or in the end, like I can't move my muscles, that's because you're in the REM, and that's when you're sleeping. But what happens is there's messengers that cut off the brain, basically paralyzed at the brain stem from moving, but your eyes are moving. It's really neat. And this occurs every 90 minutes. So when we say 8 hours of sleep, it's kind of missing the mark because there's no 90-minute increments that would end in 8 hours. So I would aim for 7.5 to 9 hours, right? Because that's more of the increment. And honestly, if you can't get 8 hours of sleep, I would go for, you're better off at getting 3 hours or 4.5 or 4.5 to 6 hours of sleep. So really going in those 90-minute increments and setting yourself up, because that's a full cycle, and those cycles are what helps restore us. I hope that makes sense. So poor sleep and poor metabolism, they go hand in hand. So sleeping less than 7 hours per night is associated with increased inflammation because we see elevated C-reactive proteins. Remember when I talked about the cardiologists, and what we see, C-reactive proteins go elevated, inflammation goes along with heart disease. So we want to lower our inflammation. blood sugar issues, if you're concerned about the diabetes, type 1 or type 2, then sleep is imperative. We lose muscle mass because we're building and repairing when we sleep, right? And we're growing when we sleep. That's why babies, a growth spurt is associated with more sleep. We have lower sex drive, and some women and some men cannot afford that. And that is because that goes a lot with stress as well. Excess weight around the hips in the middle, because we're dealing with cortisol issues now. Cortisol is supposed to naturally dip to help us get in that stage. Increased hunger hormones, ghrelin. Ghrelin says, feed me, I'm hungry. And leptin says, hey, I feel like it's leptin the leprechaun. I'm full, we're good. And if you are not sleeping, those are off balance. So one, you might not be getting hungry, which isn't a good thing. And two, you never feel full. Those are signs of leptin ghrelin resistance. So we're going to go off some basic principles. Our sleep quality, though, is shaped by how we spend our day. That's why we're going to talk a lot about what you're doing in the wakeful hours. This deals with physically, emotionally, and spiritually, what you're doing in a day. And especially, I'm not talking about one specific one specific religion, but I will talk about, what are you doing to calm yourself and deal with your anxieties and your worries. So humans are diurnal. All that means, that's a really fancy word, that we operate off of a 24-hour cycle. And like I said in a video today, we do not have sleep problems, but we have sleep-wake cycle problems, because we don't know what to do when we're awake to set up for good sleep. And we're very sensitive to endocrine fluctuations. If you don't believe me, talk to a hormonal woman, okay? So what do we do that sets us up for failure? One, we're on our phones before bed. These lights, which that's why I'll put on my blue light blockers to help the blue wavelength. The lights actually are counterproductive to melatonin. And then we're too active right before bed. Now, I'm not here to shame. I've got little kids. I'll chase them around. My husband will chase them around. But in general, we do want to think about lowering our body temperature, so not having the physical activity. And then turning the lights down in our house. It's not just on our phone, but by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, just turning the lights down can really trigger, hey, there's less light. I think I'm getting ready for bed. Then putting on your comfy pajamas. It's starting that sleep routine, just like we do for kids. Then caffeine. A lot of people, if they're having trouble sleeping at night, I'm going to talk about cutting out caffeine. I am very sensitive to caffeine. So either drink decaf or don't drink it too late. And we're going to talk about that. And then the late night snacking. So this is really important. This is the only part I'm going to touch on it with food. You don't want to go to bed with too big of an empty stomach, because then it's a lot for it to try to digest when your system is shutting down. But you don't want to go to bed on an empty stomach necessarily, because you might wake up because your blood sugar is dipping too much. So the rule of thumb that I say is, if you're waking up, try to have some almonds about an hour before bed, not too much, or try to have a high protein and fat snack, because that can give the amino acids to help you. So we do not want you to wait to do something, because the decline of deep slow wave begins much earlier in life than most people would expect. Losses of this slow wave can occur as early as your late 20s. By the time a person reaches 50, they've lost roughly half of their deep sleep. So if you're not sleeping good earlier, you're not likely you can't necessarily catch up on things. So by the time you're 80, sleep deep waves are almost undetectable. So we really want to get ahead of this sleep issue and deal with it as we are now. So let's talk about that caffeine. Caffeine has a half-life of 6 to 7 hours, a quarter of life of 12 hours. So if you've had a cup of coffee around noon, a fourth of that caffeine is still circulating at midnight. That's excitatory. That's counterproductive. So definitely do not have caffeine after midnight. And or have decaf or try some teas. Caffeine is thermogenic. We want to lower our body temperature instead of raising it. And which we don't want to be as alert, right? We want to be winding down. Let's talk about the hyperstimulation. Now listen, I love being on a screen as much as anybody before bed, but we do just see such an increase. And if your kids are having sleep issues, we've got to get them off the screen and talk about, no matter what, getting them blue light blockers. This is why. So if you see that one blue wavelength, okay, so that light has a certain frequency versus the lower and the red. That's why I put a Himalayan sea salt lamp in my bedroom at night, because it's that lower wave. And those blue light the blue light waves, basically they hit your iris, then they go through your optic nerve. And I'm not a eye doctor, as much as you might think I am. But why this is bad is because that hits your circadian clock in the suprachiasmatic nucleus. How cool is that? And basically that suprachiasmatic nucleus is located in the pineal gland, okay? So why is that important? The pineal gland is supposed to produce melatonin, but when light is hitting it, it won't produce melatonin. So that's why decreasing the amount of light, and especially the type of wavelengths hitting that pineal gland then at night, is so important, because that's going to lead to a whole host of other issues. We see without the release of melatonin, we're increased risk of breast and prostate cancers, or they're looking into the cataracts. Obesity is a concern. Depression is a concern. Neurotoxicity, making it harder to learn and have good memory. All these things we want to go. We're already declining cognitively. We don't want to hurt it. So this is especially why you and your kids, it's really good to be aware of the screens, the lights we're looking at, and do what we can to mitigate that. If that's not where you want to start, there's plenty of other things to do, but there are some easy tips that I'm going to talk about. But so did you know that norepinephrine is excitatory hormones that keeps us alert for focused and awake? But serotonin helps naturally relax. So the right amount of serotonin can produce sleep, while the smallest amount of norepinephrine produces wakefulness. Our goal should be to consume foods and supplements that change the balance of these signals. We need to decrease the norepinephrine, the excitatory hormones, and increase the relaxing one. Basically, your cells, you're syncing your cells' clocks in order to set up this good sleep pattern, because we want to have those good hunger hormones. We want to eat when we're hungry and stop when we're full, and a good night's sleep will help this. So if you're trying to lose weight, maybe you're like, you know what, instead of the crazy dieting, I'm just going to focus on sleep this year. That's a great place to start, because if we do not have, basically this last slide, those that do not sleep will become progressively less and less leptin sensitive, which leads to the blood sugar levels being off. And blood sugar levels we see affect our brain volume. It shrinks. Brains is actually almost the only organ where bigger is better. We want a big, full brain with omega-3s in it. And really that definitely impacts our memory and cognition. So let's talk a little bit about melatonin. And so where norepinephrine really gets things going, melatonin helps regulate sleep. Did you know that it influences stress hormones and blood sugar? It's an antioxidant for the brain. Melatonin is so good for us. Loss of deep sleep impacts blood sugar, making overeating or late night snacking a bigger issue. Melatonin can make a course correction. Melatonin is good. It's our friend. It has antioxidant properties that support normal function of inflammation and the immune system. So if we're not sleeping and have the right amount of melatonin, our inflammatory responses and immune system is not doing good. So the best sleep goals are increasing daytime alertness, being right on, increasing feeling rested in the morning, so you wake up refreshed, improving habits that are sleep promoting, and decreasing frustration surrounding sleep. So if that's just you, like, I get so mad at myself when I can't sleep, well, that's a good goal. Let's focus on that. We need to talk about a routine. And this is, we so get this with kids. Oh, kids thrive off a routine. Adults thrive off a routine. Does your body know it's time to go to bed, or are you doing work in your bed? Your bed should be for sleep or sex if it's appropriate. not anything else. If you want to work in your room, set up a different desk area, but keep it out of the bed. Okay, so we're going to talk about a sleep routine. We got to turn down the lights and we got to get the temperature down. Lowering temperature at night improves the production of sleep. So if you are really waking up because you're too warm, that's because you're not supposed to be that warm. So we need to find that good, 65 degrees is a really good one to start off in. So I'm going to give you some tools on how we can reach that. If you have a husband or wife or somebody like me who likes it like you're in the Bahamas, then there's ways that we can get around that. We got to remove the TV for a bedroom, right? Because that's producing lights, those blue light rays that we talked about. It prevents the temperature from dropping during the night. Gradually lowering the body temperature is a key element of the body's progression into sleep. Gradually lowering down there. Blue light suppresses melatonin production for more than twice as long as other light wavelengths. So if you look at a regular light at 8, or a blue light at 8, twice as long it's going to take for melatonin to kick in, which is affecting our circadian rhythms. So that's where I talk about different apps and glasses. So one of the things that I did today was I went through and on my screen, you should be able to see, okay. Okay, so I have an iPhone. I went into my general settings. I don't know if you can see that. And then there's display and brightness. So go to your display and brightness, and there should be, there's options. I click it's that my phone is light. It's in the light mode until sunset. Then it goes into dark mode, and most things then are on a black background. And then I also have night shift, sunset to sunrise. It's automatically adjusting the display, where I looked at it after 5 and my phone was not as bright. So that's one thing that we can do. And then the other things that I want you to do is look at turning off notifications. Go to your go to an app that's constantly sending you notifications, turn it off, because you got to take that temptation away. Otherwise, like I said, you're going to want to go on your phone, and that is counterproductive. Another thing we want to talk about is deep breathing. Again, what we do physically, emotionally, and spiritually impacts our night routine. So we need to work on calming ourselves. If I have an upsetting conversation, I'm taking some deep breaths. They did a study for 3 months when controlled breathing is a part of the daily regimen, and as little as 3 months, individuals could see a meaningful change in the immune system in its response. So it's helping us rest, relax, and be able to fight infections. Deep breathing is so important. So you can find deep breathing apps, setting reminders on your phone, ding, deep breathe. There's a 3, breathe in for 3 seconds, hold it, breathe out for 5 seconds, 3, 4, 5. All right, I'm going backwards. Okay, so these are some tools that I want to talk about. So for your screens, these blue light blockers are literally glasses. You can get them if you have prescription. You can get them in those. We got my husband's on $39glasses.com, and we paid like 40 or 50 extra bucks to get the blue screen. I have LASIK, so these are literally just for looks, and they're crooked because I lay in bed at night and like read with the light on, and I have them on. We talked about changing settings on the phone. Then looking into apps, there's this breath meditation and sleep app that helps walk you through things, that helps calm and relax. Again, spiritually, we need to be grounding so that we're not up worried all night. I actually really like this. Faith is a big part of my life. There's this Abide app that goes through scripture, and it really calmly reads it. So what I do at night is I put the Abide app on, and then I put my phone on airplane mode so that nobody will disrupt me. But because the podcast is already downloaded on Abide, then I can still listen to it. I put it on airplane and I listen to that, and then I set it down, and then I take my blue light blockers off, and that's how I get to sleep. I do good listening to stuff, and I go to sleep pretty well. So that's one I think do. Find a book you like instead of a screen. Read a book or a magazine that you like, anything instead of a screen. I have to be careful because then I get way too into a book. So I got to find one that's semi-boring, but keeps my interest enough. That's a hard feat, but ask around, ask for book recommendations. Then, like I said, the Himalayan sea salt lamp gives that automatic, relaxation. Put it in my kids' room as well. And then room darkening shades or eye masks. But if you have somebody in the room that needs a light on, then get eye mask. We need it dark. Light prevents melatonin from kicking in. So whatever you can do, get it dark in that room. And then we need to cool down, right? So your spouse or whoever really likes it hot, hot, hot. There's cooling pads that you can get for your side of the bed that circulates cool air. There's cooling sheets, there's cooling pillows, there's even mattresses. So, putting a fan on you. But if you're the opposite, if your spouse or whoever likes it cold and you need it hot, get a warming blanket. Super easy. Or heat up one of those socks at night if your feet are cold, and then that at least helps you fall asleep, but still allows you to be the right temperature for you. Okay, so supplementation. Sometimes we cannot fall asleep because we do not have the right nutrients that kick in the right neurotransmitters that help the right hormones to sleep. So supplementation is an easy button, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about it, because we need to find better ways to get to sleep in more natural ways. And to do this, we need to get our body for the natural circadian rhythms to kick in. And then to do that, we need to be nutrient efficient. Okay. So what nutrients do I recommend? I have people all the time. This is their cocktail. This may be magnesium and calcium, but definitely magnesium. Why magnesium? Magnesium supports the cellular pathways our body uses to promote, to properly create building blocks for neurotransmitters like SAMe, serotonin, and dopamine. Magnesium supplementation aids in the sleeping process. It just does. Okay, magnesium helps so that your body can get back to work on the production of melatonin. Without magnesium, your body is not going to be able to produce melatonin, which we know melatonin is very important. We already talked about that. This form has citrates and glycinates that consider the best sources. They're very gentle on the stomach, and they have high absorption. I love this brand we have at the office. You mix a cap with water, you drink it, it's really tasty. That can be part of your sleep routine at night. Okay, so what are some signs that you're magnesium deficient? Headaches, head discomfort, muscle tightness, really uncomfortable periods, trouble sleeping at night, and constipated. Those are some of the major signs, but irritable, the depression, the anxiety, those a lot of times are also similar symptoms of magnesium deficiency. So magnesium is, if you don't have magnesium, it's responsible for over 300 body processes. So you are not going to be able to function as good as you can. If you're not, you can get magnesium from food, but a lot of times that's hard, especially if you're not eating at night. And then you're not eating at night, your blood sugar is out of whack, then you go for bad foods, and then so this can be the easy button so that we can make the better choices and then evaluate if we still need to be on magnesium. So let's talk about serotonin. There's a whole process that L-tryptophan goes to 5-HTP and produces serotonin, and so on. So basically, if we don't have the L-tryptophan, we can't get to serotonin. So that's why if we're having trouble sleeping, we need to look in that. And the older that you get, the less serotonin and melatonin you have. So that's why the older you get, maybe in your 20s, you didn't need to supplement, but the older you get, you might need to. So L-tryptophan, what is it? It's what you find in your turkey that makes everybody think they're falling asleep in, which we know it's probably more from the excess food. It's amino acid. So it's a building block that helps produce serotonin. And serotonin is calming. I'm okay, I'm grounded, right? A lot of our serotonin is produced in our gut though. So if we are having trouble sleeping, we may need to look at gut, and you can talk to me about that. But serotonin produces good sleep at night and relaxation during the day. B6 and vitamin C are necessary for serotonin. So inadequate levels of B3, B6, and 12 assist in the conversion that produces melatonin. Okay. So L-tryptophan, all of this goes together with mood, feeling better at night. L-tryptophan is really, if you are having terrible, cravings and an unhealthy appetite, you might want to look at L-tryptophan. So that's when we talk about the turn down, because people are like, well, I'm going to go take L-tryptophan. Well, yeah, you need the vitamin B6, B3, and B12, and magnesium along with it. So it's a product with a synergistic blend all in one. What is it? It's supposed to do? It's supposed to have a reduction in time to fall asleep, which is good because then you have more time to get in those 90 REM cycle increments. It improves your sleep duration. It keeps you sleeping longer. And this helps support restorative sleep, the 3, 4, and 5 stages of our sleep cycle. So L-tryptophan goes to serotonin. Why I like this L-tryptophan? Because it can go to serotonin, but it can also go to melatonin. So people who take 5-HTP can only go to serotonin, but you might, which can help with mood, right? That's a good thing. But if you need help sleeping, this is the product. So L-tryptophan needs B3 in order to convert to 5-HTP, then it needs B6 to go to serotonin, then it needs zinc, calcium, and magnesium to go to melatonin. So that's why this product has all of those ingredients in it. So you're not taking 10 different things. I have some foster kiddos that I help, and they have trouble sleeping, anxiety, and all that. And not only has this helped them feel more calm during the day, it helped. There was an 8-year-old that was on an adult grade low blood pressure medication in order to knock her out, to drop her blood pressure so that she would sleep at night. But it wasn't a restorative sleep, so it wasn't a long-term solution. So anyways, what ended up happening was she took this and got off her prescription medication because it helped produce what she needed. So we need melatonin in our body. It's a neurohormone produced by the brain in the pineal gland. Remember, the lights that we see prevent the melatonin from being synthesized. Magnesium is a precursor for it as well. I love this. It tastes really delicious. And in kids, like, it can help kids. I've seen time and time again, kids who have like the trouble sleeping, it can really help support sleep for them because it gives the body the natural building blocks to produce the hormones it needs to sleep. But the reality is our schedule interferes, so we turn to the sleeping pills. But the problem is sleeping pills, they can be addictive. When taken over a long period of time, they produce the hangover effect. And this 8-year-old was saying, I don't feel good. She goes, I get headaches. My head feels weird. And it impairs memory and performance. So it's a Band-Aid if you need to, but we want to find longer term healthy solutions like trying the magnesium, trying the turn down. We want to find alternatives that aren't habit forming, right? So that's why there's another product that I recommend. Now this is pill form, but it's melatonin plus. You don't want to take this every night, but it has L-theanine, and basically L-theanine helps increase GABA, which helps also increase serotonin and dopamine, and this helps increase the enhancing brain waves that we see in stage 3, not only during the day, but at the REM cycle. So L-theanine is in this product, valerian root, which helps GABA, which again helps that serotonin and dopamine. It has hops in it because if you are having trouble with the hormonal fluctuations of temperature at night, hops is great for that. It has L-tryptophan. We just talked about L-tryptophan. It's great. And so it's not just melatonin, it's melatonin plus L-theanine, tryptophan, hops, and valerian root that all hit sleep and relaxation from different angles. So I love this product. People take, I take melatonin. Well, this is melatonin plus. It helps promote sleep, relaxation, improves sleep quality, helps you fall asleep, helps you stay asleep. I really like this. So who is it for? Those shift workers, right? The people traveling, the people whose schedules are changed because of their work or travel. So this can help kick in those processes quicker to fall asleep. Occasional fragmented sleep for my mamas, this is good for you. Individuals with greater than 3 weeks without restorative sleep, you're like, I just need something. This is a great product to try. And if you're getting old and you have sleep concerns, So it has 10 milligrams of melatonin. A lot of them have like 3 milligrams or less. So it has some great quality ingredients. And because the over-the-counter stuff can cause daytime drowsiness, dry mouth, blurred vision, constipation, urinary retention. This side effect is quality sleep. So I love that. But if anxiety and that stress and that can't turn off my brain is your problem, sleep, we might really want to look at some things like cannabiquin that has not only a full spectrum hemp, but thymoquin, which is black cumin seed, a patented version. And all of this can help not only reduce the anxiety feelings, but the poor sleep. And we see people that this has helped, studies time and time again. So if stress is your concern, then maybe that's what we want to deal with. We also have an amazing product called Bliss, an amazing product called Axe that helps adrenal, cortisol, and thyroid. Which is your stress axis. So we really want to get back to decreasing the stress through breathing, through turning off our phone notifications so we're not always bombarded by the world, so doing these sort of things. So what are some of your next steps? We covered a lot of things. Well, first, just pick a place to start. So say, I'm going to find that calming app Anna talked about and listen to. I'm going to adjust the settings on my phone for the lights. I'm going to buy blue light blockers. Maybe I'm going to pick a relaxing activity. Like my kids, we used to give them a bath before bed. Maybe I'll take a bath before bed. Maybe I'll put on a favorite lotion that smells good and has lavender in it. Maybe I'm going to read a book, or before bed, I'm going to practice gratitude instead of checking my emails. I'm going to work on getting lighting in my house that I can turn down. Or you know what? I'm going to talk about the supplementations. And if you have seen this event, you get 10% off any of the things plus some other things that we talked about. The other thing that you can do is commit to exercising. We know when we actually work out and get our energy out in the day, we sleep better at night. So pick one thing. And if you have a hard time and you feel overwhelmed, that's when we can consult and we can say, this is a great step for you. Because we need to get good sleep. Sleep matters, folks. So I hope that made sense. I am so thankful that for all who are on Zoom and the Facebook. If you have any questions, let me look in the chat and see. Other than that, I will get back to the chat questions as needed. And I hope that you guys have a great night. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, we're going to stop live stream. Stop record.